So what I did is really, if you look at those columns, are exactly one-to-one to the table I kind of assembled from his data. Exactly those columns. So step number one was, and I talked about it with you last time, is uploading the data to this table. That's step number one. The reason I didn't fill up this data, because I did something a little more smarter than that, and to save time. Time is very important for a user. User doesn't want to wait a long time, okay? If you look at properties, see, this is just a property, okay? This one is dividing by 100 because the data, as they are filled up here, you can tell I use self. That, I don't know if you can see it. It's a little small. I don't know how to increase it. There's a way to make it big. I think if I put a mouse here, you can see it better now, probably, don't you? Yeah? You see it better?
Yeah, but a little small.
Yeah. But for some reason here, it doesn't like me. Anyway, the really what it's nothing really here. What I did here, it's I made a property, which is really taking the column A divided by 100. That's really what I did. He has to do it in Excel. He make another column in Excel and he link it to the other column and divide by 100. It's stupid. You got it? Secondly, this one doesn't take any memory on the hard drive. Doesn't take any memory in the table in the database. It's only a formula in Python. You got it?
Yes.
Yes.
So, and moreover, I did all of them. All of the calculation I needed, everything is a property. This is the right way to do things. That's when you know. So everything that he has done, it really is in the database, but not as a physical columns, as a formula. And the truth of the matter, this formula doesn't exist in the database. This is why we're using Django. That's the beauty of Django. This is an object. This is an object in Python, not in Postgres. The data is in Postgres, but which data Postgres hold? Only those columns. This is it. It doesn't hold the properties. They're only a formula in Python. So how Python works, when I call this data, from this table, okay, let's go and look at it, by the way. This is the function, which I call from the JavaScript with Ajax. That's one you already know, correct? See how elegant it is. I call the get risk premium. I transfer two dates. Now, why I'm transferring those two dates? Let's go and look at this one, by the way. This will be really cool. Go and look at it. This one also, you have to organize yourself so well. Otherwise, you get lost. When you look at this function is, uh, is being called by JavaScript. And the file that deal with it, it's inside the include. Now, I think I put the whole things in here. Okay. No, I'm not sure. I think it's in the, let me see where did I put it? Yeah, I put it in the calculation. This one is really a calculation. No, this is the, oh, sorry. Support calculation effective. That's in the calculation. Support schedules. That's in the calculation. So I need to go really to the calculation. One day we will do a special module, which will be a startup by itself. But that's for some other time. I'll talk about it. Let's go and look at this function. Okay, here it is. So it's very elegant. And you notice I'm documenting as I go along. It's very, very elegant function. This one is just assisting, but let's leave it. This is the real function. And see, I did it very elegantly because I want it to work for next year too. If you see here in JavaScript, you can ask the JavaScript to tell you, you have an object called date. And you ask him the date, you make an object called date. That's the way you create an object in JavaScript. New date. And then it has a function called get full year. The get full year give you the year. So I keep it. And then I subtract 50 years and I subtract 10 years. Meaning I would like all the calculation to be 50 for the last 50 years or the last 10 years, all the data I have. But I don't need to tell him because I know the year I started, which is 1928. So this one, I didn't want to bother the server. Whatever I can do on the client, I do on the client. So the least pressure on the server. And then I call this function. And say this function, we know how to do that, yeah, with the Ajax now. This one goes to the Python and transferring those two variables. Those two variables doing whatever they need to do and then get me the results. The results come back as a data. And always the data is JSON. JSON means it's like a dictionary for us, okay? And we know how to handle dictionary. That's a very common way to do it. Used to be that they used to return it as an XML. Honestly, XML and dictionary is not a big difference. It's not really a big difference, okay? And XML has a lot of other advantages. I used it a lot 20 years ago, 25 years ago. But you can do the same things today since you can take the JSON or dictionary, turn it into a Python Panda table, give you a lot of power. So you don't really need to use the XML anymore, kind of. So a table of Python Panda table, very powerful. And I will show you in a second how I use it. Okay, it's very, very powerful. I didn't start with you guys when you started software engineering. That was too early for you to be exposed to that. When we will start the machine learning, and by the way, machine learning, only the student and I will qualify to take that course, will take that course. It doesn't matter even the student wants to pay, they can pay $10,000, they might not get accepted. Because I'm going to really build up a good, excellent team for machine learning. It's a hard topic and only excellent student will be there. Anyway, so I'm transferring two variables and I'm going to this function in Python. This one, we have it in the view. I'm not going to go through the URL and all of that. I always keep the same names to make my life easy. So I find the function. And you see, I'm just reading those two variables. So I see, I don't really know exactly the year that is 50 years from now, but I already know it's from here. And then I'm not going to be stupid and write the whole code here. That will kill me. I have to work very organized. That's why software engineering is so important. to be before you study machine learning. Because if you study machine learning, you don't have the tools to organize your work and you get lost. I see it all the time. Okay? It's such an important thing. And by the way, you can see that this one, it really is an object. This is a class that I built specifically handling this project. So that's an object. And this object, I try to work very organized. I don't know why I did it. In fact, you know what? I will change it even. No, this is fine. In fact, in another place. You can see, I try to keep the same name here and the same name here, but this is just for me to make my life easy. It doesn't have to, but I do that because I'm well organized. You'll get to know me. I'm extremely organized. Otherwise, you'll get very lost. So now, what is happening in this very simple function? I'm getting those two dates. I'm creating an object. I'm transferring those two dates to these objects to a special function of this object. It does all the work and give me a data. The data is supposed to be a dictionary. And that dictionary, I'm returning to JavaScript, as a JSON, meaning I'm getting this as a dictionary in JavaScript. Everybody got it? Very simple. Okay? And then after I get it back in JavaScript, this is it. This is what I'm getting back. Now, all what I have to do here is just play around and make it look like a nice table as it looks like here. Meaning, after I got the data inside, I also need to know a little HTML. And I need to build up a nice table look like this one. So really what end up here, this part, it's very simple. By now you should know it by heart, honestly. Learn this code, this part is gold. By the way, I don't want to give it to you now, Daniel. There's two ways to do it. The way I did it, and there is the way I taught you, if you remember, when we did the Fab House, remember?
Yeah.
We created an element, and to the element we added attributes. You can do the same things here.
But in education.
Correct. In the education we did, I think. I forgot. But there is two styles you can do. Both of them are just fine. Okay? I recommend you know both of them. Okay? It's very simple. You can tell I'm building up S. And you have to be really smart. I told you last time, I talked about the eval function, extremely important. And here is really, this is you won't find in books. That's what makes our system so different. Because this is it's like building up, this is very clear. We define two variables. But the truth of the matter, I'm making a loop here. And inside the loop, for every loop, I'm making a variable with a name starting S underscore with the year. So S underscore and the year becomes to be a variable. And is holding a text, which is building up the table. That's a very powerful trick, okay? Very, very powerful trick. Later on, you will see Python has also the same function. Python has another function, by the way, called execute. And there is a slight difference. There is a big difference, in fact, between the two. They do similar things, looks like similar things. But this one allows you to make your code so elegant, otherwise you will spend here pages to do it. Otherwise, it's ready for me just to can delete all of that stuff. It's just when I'm building it up, I'm checking myself But most of it is really, those ones are unnecessary. You can take them away. I leave them. This one I do leave intentionally because I don't know, I might change stuff. But eventually they will go away. It makes it elegant. That's what it means. It really is very elegant. Okay, very powerful. Now, the hard work, which is not really that hard, is going here. Is what this object is doing to get you from the table. We uploaded this table from the Excel, but this data, you have to use it and know finance now. Now you need to know finance. To take this data and convert it to the data you need to present. In another word, you're taking a table, you work on it, and you turn it into another dictionary that comes back into here, and it goes to JavaScript, and JavaScript build up the HTML. But the hard work from finance point of view, it's done here. Okay, so here you need to really know some finance. I won't get into that. Okay, I won't get into it. It's not really fair to you either. It's not the time to teach you finance. We will learn finance in the right way. We'll start a course on financial accounting and then financial statement analysis. And then only after those two courses, you can start thinking about what we're doing here. But we can skip all of that. You don't really care. You shouldn't. And I will explain why. From your point of view now as a computer guy, all what you need to know is that there is a table like this. Okay? And I'm going to use it. And in a minute, I will show you how I'm using it. Basically, I'm starting with, remember I transferred two variables and one I knew, it's 1928, it's not going to change. So that's why I kept it there. I can be more organized and transfer that one, but it's not going to make a difference. I'm not going to go back before. There is no data before 1928. So I hard-coded it here. Usually I don't do it. So those three dates are coming here, and I'm looping. So I'm going to make this one 3 times. From your point of view, this is really cool that you should know. So I'm making now a LL, and LL is a list in Python. But it's not just a regular list. It is a list of lists. If you see it's starting parentheses here, you see the first parenthesis, this is the end of the parentheses. But inside, you can see there is a parenthesis. So it's a list of lists. And what am I putting in the internal list? I'm putting 3 lists for every year. So for every year, you see the white in the layers I have 3 years. I'm looping 3 times. Every time, for every time, I'm looping, and that's really the hard part, that you should learn. I talked about it a little bit in the introduction to Python. That called list comprehension. Please do as a homework. Study it. You should. List comprehension Python, and look it up. Study it. You have examples here. Very powerful. Very, very, very powerful. Here we go, by the way. Lucky you. It looks like a good example. Study. You will need it in machine learning. Whoever study machine learning must know it very well. Okay? Even I'm borrowing knowledge from machine learning, data processing. It's not really machine learning. It's really the first stage before you get to machine learning. It's like between software engineering and machine learning, there is a whole field of data processing. And 90% of people that are doing machine learning, that's what they really do in real life. Okay? It's data preparation. So this one is a must know, but it's a hard one. I'm making a list of lists. So what am I doing? I'm creating a list of 3 variables, 1, 2, and 3, meaning return on S&P, return a TB3MS rate, return on bond, T-bonds. There are 3 columns in the table I just made. Hey, but they are not a regular one. I'm using really, if you look, this one, it's a property. If I read why I need to do that, I will explain to you. If you try to read a property from Django, it will not give it to you. It will give you only these columns. You cannot get them. The only way you can get them, there's 2 ways, but this is the more elegant that I like. This is, let's put it in this way. In my opinion, this is the right way. When you do list comprehension, you can call a property as well. So I'm pulling really 3 properties from what? I'm looping, I'm doing for RP in, and pay attention, this is a query set in Django. I'm getting all the rows. You see that? I'm getting all the rows in this table. By the way, when I'm doing it inside a list, this one allows me that the RP is a row and all this query. So it's really doing a loop here over all the rows in the database. Everybody got it?
Yes.
Hard one. It's doing, I can take this one and write it here. In Python, it will look a little familiar to you. Looks familiar to you in Python. And then I can use RP. Is that right? Because it says
Right.
RP, which is row, in, this is the table, objects. I filter by year. In fact, I'm filtering all the rows that are above the Y. And what is the Y? The first one will be 1928, means give me all of them. The next time it will give me only the 50 years. And then it will give me only 10 years. Okay? But basically what this code does, it's looping over all the records up to, depending on what the Y is, for getting me all the records in the table. Okay? So it does that one. And then for every row is making a list. So if I were making a test exam on this line, what am I getting? What is LL? LL, in fact, is a matrix, 2-dimensional matrix. It's a list of lists. I will have 3 columns, and I will have all the years starting from 1928 for the first time, then we'll start from 1971 up to today and starting for the last year. So if I look at the last time, the LL, it will have 10 rows for the last one. For the first one, it will have all the years, I think it's about 90 something rows. And here is, by the way, that's what I said before, Panda has a special table called data frame. I can take that list of lists and make a table of it. Moreover, I gave them names. Now I know exactly what they are. For the table, I give them a name. M is for the market, it's the S&P 500. TB is a T-bills, T-bonds, the treasury bonds, sorry. That's for the treasury bonds. And the last one is for the T-bills. So I call it a bill. Now I have a table. Now, if you print this one, you get really a nice 3 tables because it's run 3 times. You'll get 3 tables, very nice 3 tables. Each one of them will have 3 columns. And now this is a beautiful one that I know how to work very well because I know machine learning. And now is the jump of data processing in machine learning. Now I can play with it. See how nice it is. Much nicer than Excel. I want to make a new column in the table. I'm adding another column now. And all the things I have to do, this minus this, it's make me a new column. Whatever is in this column is subtracting the T bill. The next one is subtracting the B. So I'm doing that minus that, and that one. How many columns do I have now? If I look at this print, this table has 5 columns now. You got it? These are the only columns I need. Got it?
No, no, doctor. Pardon.
One more time. That's it.
Yeah.
It's really is a hard one. We're starting, we have a table. This is our table. That's what we're starting with. That's one you know,
Yes.
correct?
Yeah.
If I want to see all the rows in the table, that's what I do. The only thing is I'm filtering. Don't give me all the rows. Give me all the rows only that they have a date, the year is higher than Y. So if Y, let's say Y is 1928, because we're doing a loop here, 1928, this one would give me all the rows above 1928. In another word, if we look at the table here, you see this table? By the way, this is a little cheating, because this one give me also the calculator, the properties. All what I need is really 3 columns out of it. So, but I'm returning all of them, but I'm going up to the beginning. I know that the first one is 1928. Nobody collected data before 1928. There's not really data. He collected some taxes stuff, so I ignore them. I'm start from 1928. So first time, I'm getting all the data. That's what this one does. Give me all the rows of this table. That's what it does. And the last time, I'm taking only the last year, 10 years. That's what I do. When I do year 10, it will go 10 years back. It will give me, this one will collect data. It will do the same things only for 10 years because the Y will be 2020, 2011. And how do you know that? You can go to the JavaScript. In the JavaScript, you took the year today. Which year is we are now? 2021. So this one will be 2021. Subtract 10, you get 2011. So this is 2011. I'm transferring 2011. I get to here. I get the 2011. I paste it along to this function. This function get, this is just default, it really being ignored. Yeah, because I transfer 2011. When I put here 2011, when the Y, when I loop on the Y and it gets the 2011, you put the 2011 here, this part gives me only 10 records.
Yeah.
So far, so good?
So good.
Yeah, I'm gonna do it 3 times. It's hard. You need to watch this video several times. It's really hard. So when you loop, The first time it's all the years. The second time is only 50 records. Third times is 10. If I take that one out, if I delete them, it will run only one time. Is that right? Because I have only one number there in the list. So Y in L years has only 1 year. It will do it only one time, and then it will pull only 10 records here. Because the one will be 2011. Got it?
Yeah.
That's a hard one. Let me put that one back so we don't lose it. Okay? All right. But the beautiful part is this comprehension. I am building list of lists. So every record in here, for every record in those, let's say we're doing it for 2011. We have only 10 records. For every record of the 10, for every record inside here, I want you to make me a list. So you make a list for every record. So I'm making really 10 lists here. Inside a list, empty list. By the way, the LL is empty in the beginning. You got it? Doesn't have anything. It's an empty list, which is holding 10 lists, one for every record. But now I'm very smart. Why I'm doing it smart? I don't need all the records from this table. I don't need all those columns. By the way, those columns are virtual, most of them. In fact, I do want 3 columns which are virtual. All those 3 are virtual. But the beauty here, by the end of the day, when I take a list of lists, put it in the data frame, for me, this is the table. I have a table with 3 columns. Since a list of lists don't have names to the columns, I gave them names. I gave them names. The first column I called M, the second column I called TB. They're just convenient, short. I don't have to write long, and I know exactly what they are. So bottom line is DF, it's nothing but a data frame, which is a table with 3 columns. The names of the columns are M, TB, and B. When we will learn machine learning, before we start machine learning, we have a Python, introductions to Python for machine learning. We will learn about index. We don't use the index here, but many times the year, we turn the year to be the index. But I don't really need it here. I already did the filtering that I needed right here, and I did the order in the right place, so I don't really need it. Many other places I definitely need it. So I don't use the index. I do use the columns just to give it a name, so it will be easy for me to manipulate. Now that I have a column, every column has a name, I can do mathematics with columns. I can subtract one column from another one. So this column minus this column give me a new column. So after this row, DF has 4 columns now. Up to this point, it has only 3 columns. Now it has 4 columns. Now it has 5 columns. So if I print it, I will see 5 columns. Okay? That's beautiful. See how elegant it is when you know really Python and all the stuff. It's not an easy stuff. Now it becomes to be a tricky one. You need to be a little smart. You want to return, what is your objective? Now you have the data of these, you have the data of these. You're going to return, in the end of the day, you're going to return a dictionary. You're returning a dictionary. And that dictionary, remind you one more time, going to be used inside here. It's going to be this data. This data is really the dictionary I'm sending you back. So this one, you really want to make it a smart way. So it will be easy for you to build up the HTML. in a smart way. So you think about it carefully. If you have a good eye, you see I just making an empty dictionary. I made a dictionary. What did I define it? I defined it here. An empty dictionary with two dictionary inside. But that I will give it to you as an exercise to study. That's the easy part. And then, by the way, why did I do two? Because I have inside here, if you see if you look at there, you have arithmetic and you have geometric. So you want to separate the data for arithmetic and geometric would be easy for you to build this one up later on. So you collect all the data for arithmetic in here, you collect all the data for geometric here, and then you do a loop, you know which one to call. But that I will leave it to you as an exercise. That's a hard one. It's a very hard one. But that's a smart way to organize it. And inside it, for every year, for arithmetic and geometric, I am making another dictionary, which is still empty in this point. And if you have good eye, you can tell for every year, now I'm looking for every year, I want to make a dictionary for every year. But every year, it doesn't matter if it's arithmetic or geometric, you'll have stack tables or stack minus t-bonds. So you want to organize it already to be nicely and easy to do the HTML. So you make another dictionary inside for every year, and for every year you split another two. Up to now, you have done nothing really besides organizing the data you're returning. This is the way you do the work. I'm not going to waste your time. All what I do here is really finance. I'm calculating the mean, standard deviation, putting them in the right place, blah, blah, blah. This one is a very nice trick, how you make it geometric, average. One day, if you want, you're more than welcome. When we get to that, when we finish financial statement analysis and we start corporate valuation, I will talk about geometric average. And then you will realize this is very elegant, very, very elegant doing geometric. If you want to know how this guy did it, it's ridiculous. It really is like childish, I would say. It's embarrassing to say that a professor at NYU did it, but that's when you don't really know computer science in the high level. Doesn't matter how good finance person you are, it won't help you. You will work very primitive. And the reason you will see the way he did it. So, you know, you saw how it's only, how many lines did I use here? Why? By the way, this is just giving it a 1, okay? Then I do a loop, and that's division. That's it. I'm done. This is all the code. Defining each one of them as 1. By the way, you should know, my brain was thinking about, but you know how I could have written it. Could I write it like this as well? What do you think? Well, that will do. What do you say? Yes or no?
Not sure.
Definitely, in Python, you can do it this way. You studied that, we studied that in the introduction. That's the way you can define several variables getting the same value. Okay, you could do it another way, a third way. But this one, the one that I just showed you was the most elegant. This one also should work. This is assigning several variables. But this way you do when you want to give each one of them different number. If you want to give all of them the same number, this will be the best, most elegant way. But I did it this way just for myself, really, because I was focusing on the finance. But I will throw it away. I will probably change it later on. This one is just really, since it's using different columns for the geometrics. And then all what I needed to do is really whatever comes out, divide it by the number of items minus one. That's all what it is. By the way, sorry, it's really getting a square root by the power of number of items you have. But I won't even get into it. This is it. Look at the way he did it. He did it so primitive for each one of them. For each one of them, he started with like 100 times 1 plus this one. And then this one is really the red. You can look it up. It's the red times the previous one times. So you're doing like a loop right here. He's doing the whole loop and he ends up with this one. And he does it for each one of them. He makes a column for each one of them, which is ridiculous. Honestly, it's embarrassing because it doesn't have to start with 100. It could start with 1, as I did. Okay? So instead of 148, 43, it should have 1.4381. It's stupid to do a loop for each one of those 4. It really is stupid. And later on, what he has to do, you can look it up. He did it here. I don't remember where even. He took the average. And after he did that, no, this is for the average for geometry. He took the square root. This is really the only things I did. But in Python, elegant. And after I did that one, he took it to somewhere here. I forgot even. To here, to here. I think it took the difference. It took that one minus this one. So this one basically is this minus this. You got it? There it is. He spent the whole Excel for no reason. It's unnecessary, very unnecessary. And then you can tell, that's what I did here elegantly. I took the difference and I round the numbers as I pleased. And elegantly, at the end of the day, it really comes up to a nice, the geometric goes here, the arithmetic goes here. I have a really nice dictionary. I return a dictionary here, okay? I printed out here, by the way, here. You can see it. I might have a copy of it here. Let's see. I have run it several times before. So maybe we'll see it here. I don't remember where I put it. It should be, we'll see it in a second, okay? We'll see it in a second. I will do it again. Hold a second. I can refresh. By the way, this won't without even choosing a company. If you go to the schedule and you click Risk Premium, it comes up. And you can see the value here. It should already point it out here in the end. You know. Here it is. See how elegant it is. You get arithmetic, that's all. That's the way you get it, nicely, well organized. And now you just do a loop and pull the data as you need, you know, for the arithmetic, for the 1928, you have stock minus t-bears, the value, standard deviation, same things for the second one. Very easy to pull the data from there. And the one that does the hard work to generate this one, it's this one. So this is the, in my opinion, if you ask me, this is the most important function that really takes you to a higher level for processing data. You're pulling data from a database, you're creating a data frame. From the data frame, you do some calculation, a very simple calculation, really. You put it in a dictionary, you send it back to whoever asked for it. In this case, it's this function. And now I get this data. In fact, it's exactly what you see in the bottom. Okay? Is that okay, Brenda? Michael? Let me see you
Sure,
guys.
it's okay.
Let me see you. Hi, Liam. I see you joined us. I'm glad you joined us. How are you, Liam? Is Brenda still with us?
Yes, Dr.
Yes, she is.
Is that clear, Brenda?
The risk premium on the bid.
Yeah, it's a hard one. You really don't need to go over the comprehensive. This is probably the nicest trick. By the way, I used it because I found in some place that you cannot pull properties. I find out the error, the problem, I couldn't pull the properties and I didn't know why. I searched it a little bit and then I found a way that you have to do a dictionary, and that's one of the ways. There's another way to do it. The second one wasn't elegant, so I didn't like it. This is elegant, and that's why I use that one. And now when you have a list of lists, it becomes to be a matrix, by the way. By the way, I could have taken this one, and machine learning will most likely will not do what I did here. We will take a NumPy. We can have a NumPy, but I don't think even I brought the NumPy here. No, I didn't even bring that library here. I will use a NumPy, and in the NumPy, I will take it as an array and make it as a matrix, two-dimension matrix. But for here, it's elegant to do it the way I did it. Classic, simple. Don't get into the machine learning too much. Still use the power of the Pandas library. Okay, very powerful library and elegant. So this one is a good exercise homework for you guys. And then learn a little bit about Panda. By the way, this is the way that we will start in the end of September. We start the machine learning class. We will start learning Panda first and then NumPy. And then we only start basic stuff. And then we'll get to the rest. We will get to the rest stuff. Without those two, you really shouldn't even touch machine learning. Don't even think about it. But here it's so elegant. It's very, very elegant. You can tell. So simple. This one required, but this is why you have to be a very good software engineer. Machine learning people usually don't deal with that kind of stuff. They will start from this one, do them the algorithms, blah, 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 and then they will get stuck. How do I return the results to the user? And they will get stuck and they will go and call their friend. And that's okay too. That's okay too. But they need to know that this is a professional. Software engineering, it's a professional. That's usually done by software engineers. And then this one is a little trick. Usually machine learning people will get it immediately. This one is very easy. Everyone should know. And then when you build it up, it comes back. When it goes back to here, that's definitely software engineer. Moreover, this one, it's something that someone like Jeremiah has to know by heart. Jeremiah that wants to be a designer and web designer, web builder with a database must know that by heart, what we did here. And he needs also to know what Daniel did, the method that Daniel used in the education. Both methods he needs to know by heart. Why? If you look carefully inside, you will see there's classes, there's style. That's what makes, in fact, eventually I would like to ask Jeremiah, redesign the table to be nicer. That should be his job. That's not the job of machine learning person, not even a software engineer per se. And designer should be a software engineer, otherwise you cannot be a good designer. That's the problem. If you guys remember, Michael, Brenda, you remember, when we tried to utilize Moria, remember? She didn't
Yes.
have this knowledge and we couldn't use her graphics. Remember that?
Yeah.
Only later on we start, when we got to that point, but she doesn't have that knowledge that make her handicapped. She cannot be really a designer. For Jeremiah, it's a blessing to get to this level in the software engineer, and he needs to learn this by heart. So this is really for Jeremiah. But I strongly recommend that everyone will take those courses, studying also the stuff that machine learning doing, but over the years, you will know how to communicate, and that's give you a big advantage. Otherwise, how will you do it? There's no way. Anyway, after the, in my opinion, this is the most important code. This is the hardest, supposed to be the hardest is this line. It's the hardest. This one, when you know data frame, it becomes to be a little easier. This one is being smart, has nothing to be hard, just to be smart in the way you build it up. This one, when a person designing this one should be designed by Jeremiah as well. Because Jeremiah is supposed to get the result is written by a mathematician or finance person. Jeremiah has to tell him, I would like the data to be this way. Please put the data inside this way. Why? Because Jeremiah is the one that's going to build it up. So he would like to get the data in this way. Otherwise, it would be hard for him to build it up. That's why they need to communicate. But this one, it's done by finance slash machine learning person. And then this one as well. And when it's come back, it's a different job of someone else. Okay? That's just a summary of really how this one was created. Basically taking Excel that somebody has done, he spent a hell of a lot of time, take my word for it, to build it up. The end result, we're doing it's much more elegant. Just think about it. For him to change his Excel, what does he need to do? Just think about it. Don't he has to add another row here? 2021, he has to. Because otherwise all his other calculation will not work. When he add the row, this row changed to another field here. So his functions here will change. All his function will change. Everything he has to redo. He has to do everything redo. Stupid. Very stupid. Really embarrassing even to say that. It's much, much more elegant on our system, or what you would have to do, by the way, all what you have to do. And if you want, I can show it to you. Look at this one. All what you have to do is add another row here. Put the numbers and you're done. That's it. You don't really care about anything we have done. It's over. It works. It's perfect. That's when you do things in a smart way. That's Chicago. That's University of Chicago style, MIT style. That's the level you're supposed to get to. That's the way they do things. With all due respect to NYU, and I do have a lot of respect, that's definitely not the way to do it. Okay? Now, having said all of that, next session, we will spend on another Excel of this guy that he has done. There is even disaster, honestly. There's a concept called, we're going to conclude this session. I just want to say what we're going to do next time. Is to, he has another Excel that he made and I downloaded. And there's a lot of beautiful stuff from finance point of view is beautiful. But that's why we're coming in to help him. In fact, I can't really blame him. It's too much for one person to do, honestly. What we're going to do is really taking these, what it called country risk It's very elaborated calculation. If you go into here, I start working on it. Let me close this one. I don't need that one anymore. And if you go to this one, see how many Excel here is. Here you totally get lost. You really totally get lost. You have so many Excels. This is like explanation, country lookup. Should be the final page. The truth of the matter, when you think as a corporate valuation person, that should not be the final page. If you look at the way I design my system, I have valuation. And my valuation is the final page. Let me just show it to you. If I use it for Apple, in a minute I will tell you that all that Excel is giving me a very small part of the whole project. Still, it's by itself is a big project. That's why a application like the one we're building up here, it's such a valuable for a lot of companies. I hope I didn't screw up any things. Yeah, that should be done. Yeah, this is good. But see, this is a hell of a lot of work. We will go over it again and again. It's beautiful stuff. Okay, we'll go over that stuff. Okay, you'll be expert on that. Believe me, eventually. Now, the truth of the matter, this is temporary. So after I put the company name, I chose the company name. It shouldn't really go to here, as I did it. What did I do? I didn't go to here. It's not going to go here. It's going to end up going here. The reason it's because I'm still working on it. I need to choose, this one I'm going to automate as well. This is going to be automatic. And after it's being automatic, it will be opened here. That is the first page of the application. Meaning, after you choose a company, it does all the work. This is going to go away. You will see it's going to go away in a week or two. It's going to go away. And it will work, and then you will end up here. And here, there is a number called WAC. And the WAC is not coming from the sky. It's coming from supported schedules. And what is that one? What are the supported? You have one for cost of debt. We'll go over all of that. We have to. Then you go into cost of equity. In the cost of equity, you have beta. It has a whole Excel just to calculate that number. We'll need to work on that one as well and do it more elegant. Okay? And then eventually, what do you see? Mature market risk premium. That one we already have done, by the way. I'm going to change this number. This number is going to come from here. And I'm going to make a decision which one I'm going to use. 9.3, 3.9, or 4.8. Got it? Which year am I going to use? Which one of those four? He's using like kind of, I think he's using this one in his calculation. Okay, I don't agree with it. To me, it seems like this is really the one you're supposed to use. Okay, and it's a very tricky one. One thing is definitely, it has to be something between this number and this number, not lower than this one, not higher than this one. But eventually I'm going to make a decision, and I have more tools than he does to handle it. So a number between those two numbers is going to end up right in here. So all this schedule, it's a helping schedule for this schedule. It's putting this number right here. And then we're going to have another summary schedule to help us to define default spread, volatility ratio, and a country risk. So this number is going, only one number that's going to be here, what he is using. Eventually, if you look at his Excel, all those, there's so many of them, you will see. It's so hard to follow what he's trying to do. The end of the day, he needs a number. So he has default spread, country risk premium, and equity risk premium, those three numbers. All this Excel is those three numbers, but those three numbers really shouldn't be coming here. In fact, the user don't need to see this Excel at all. Shouldn't even care about it. Has to have maybe explanation like he had in the first page. But nobody really should care about his output. What was that? I got lost with him. What was it? Defining? Yeah, here we go. So those three numbers going to end up really in our calculation right in here. 1, 2, 3, and then eventually country risk. That's it. I might put a schedule here. I might do it in the links. In fact, when you click here, you will get a schedule if you care. Most of the people don't care. They just want to know you did it right. And we're going to show the people that we did it right. So, and then eventually, this one and this one are coming into calculate this one. So, truth of the matter, those are temporary schedule. They're going to help calculating this one. Now, I did it's a very, I went one step that it does not have. Beside all the calculation, and I'm going to do it much better than his, I have something called simulator. This is a pure statistics. That's coming the end, okay? So next time we're going to talk about his Excel. I will organize it in such a way that we will not waste our time. And not this one, so there's so many of them. This one. By the way, this one we have to go through too. This one, country risk. You will see is repeating himself so many times. It's just embarrassing. So I started, by the way, but I'm not sure that's the way I want to do it either. I eventually want to have one page in which data should we collect, and only this table we upload to R, and the rest is will be calculated virtually. So we're supposed to really have one page at the end of the day. I haven't decided yet how to organize it. That's what we'll do next time, okay? Good. This is a hard stuff, by the way, it really is. But it's a bridge. It really is on a level, with all due respect to the finance. This is not the hard finance. The hard finance is options. And when we get to options, that's when you really have to come ready there with a very heavy duty mathematics knowledge. And it's not for everyone. I don't even recommend for you really guys, unless Liam, if you're planning on getting a PhD, then I would say, yeah, go study options. But if you're really not planning on PhD or doing those kind of stuff, I would recommend strongly invest at least 3, 4, 5 years even on corporate valuation, be expert, you can make beautiful money worldwide. You can make very nice salary in the world. And then make your mind, you're still young. But in order to study options, I have a course that I teach in options. Most of the students die. You know, usually there is about 10, 15 students at the top that has the courage to take the course. It's end up with 4 to 5 that barely survive. The reason is not because they're not smart, they don't come ready. You know, you need to come ready for hard stuff. If you don't know mathematics in a high level, and I'm trying to prove to you ethos lemma, there is no way you can understand it. No way in the world. Ethos lemma is one of the hardest things in statistics, mathematical statistics. I will talk about Brownian motion. You probably never heard about those concepts, am I right? Here you are, Michael, you're about to finish your college. Brenda, you're about to finish your college, am I right?
Yes, Betty.
You never heard those terms, ethos lemma, Brownian motion. By the way, people don't even know that Albert Einstein did not get his Nobel Prize because of the relativity. He got his Nobel Prize of discovering something about Brownian motion. Brownian motion was discovered about 20 years before Albert Einstein by a guy by the name Brown. And that's why they call it Brownian motion. And Albert Einstein took that theory and have proven that there is atom. They could not see the atom at the time. They didn't have the right telescope. So how do you prove that the atom exists? And Einstein had the proof to that. And he discovered a whole field called Brownian motions. That he took the motions of Brown and he quantified it in a mathematical way. Believe it or not, it sounds like what does it has to do with finance? People pricing options based on the assumptions that prices of stocks behave like Brownian motion. And if you assume that, you can come with models of pricing options. It's a really hard topic, extremely hard. I wouldn't dare to even teach it to you unless another couple of years from now. I will be working on the options starting about 4 or 5 months from now. I'm finishing the corporate, the process I'm going to do is I'm finishing the corporate valuation, then it will be the business simulation. I do strongly recommend Daniel, Michael, Brenda. That's an excellent one for you. I will be teaching that course in October in the University of Haifa. You're more than welcome to be passive participant. But I'm building my own simulation. This time I'm going to finish it. I started 2 years ago. Intentionally, I stopped. I have very good reason. Was very smart to do that. I will get back to it. I'll spend about a couple months on that, and then I will go back to the options. If you think you're ready in 5 months from now with the knowledge of mathematics, be my guest. But it will be hard from a lot of levels. Even the programming is extremely hard. I give you an example, okay? I use the trick even in hours. I haven't talked to you about that. Let me share my screen one more time. Technologies you should be expert on. I didn't even dare to teach you yet. It's only 2 lines of code, believe it or not. It looks so naive. It looks so easy, but it's really hard. If you look here, you scroll down, scroll, you might even don't notice it. These 2 lines are very hard. Very, very hard 2 lines. What this one does, he asks the computer, in this example, okay, he look at the dig data. The dig data I get from the SEC. And let's say I find, by the way, here we go, I can show it to you. For Apple, we just looked at Apple, is that right? If you click here, I read this one, by the way. I see all the years of Apple. So here's from 220 up to 209. You see that? 209, 10, plus 10, 12. So let's get 12 statements. So what he does, he knows that he has 12 statements. So what I ask the computer to do, open 12 brains. It's like go and open 12 threads. I don't know how many of you know what a thread in a computer. A thread is like it's like an engine. Do work for me. I give you work to do. So I open 12 brains to the computer. There's two types of brains that I can ask him to open. There is one called thread and one called process, but we will learn it in a different course. In the options, definitely we have to do both of them. Now, why did I do that? See, the beauty here, after I told him open 12 brains, there's another special function called a pool. And now this function, get data for years, is being called 12 times simultaneously. At the same time, 12 times. Each one of them receive a piece of a year of data. So after I download the data structure from the SEC, I get the link. I build a structure with 12. This is really a dictionary. This one is a dictionary with 12 years. You can see it here. You see the data in the very bottom, and then it's not a year. I don't know if you see it in the very bottom here. I put my mouse.
Yes.
Every year, it's inside the dictionary. So each one of those, they are not calculated separately one after the other one. They are calculated at the same time. And he knows how to do it. That's called concurrency, one of the hardest topics in computer science. It really is one of the hardest topics in computer science. So if you want to study options, that I think you should wait. You're not there. You should wait. I think corporate valuation alone will bring you big time, big time to be a real professional in Uganda, East Africa. And honestly, if you want to get into a PhD program anywhere in the US, if you survive it, you can get accepted with a full scholarship if you survive. Honestly, this is real stuff. The moderate you can read about him, he's really amazing guy. I mean, he deserves a lot of credit for what he has done. So trying to do his work and above give you a big advantage. You will love to see our work one day. When we finish, I will show it to you. You will love to see it. For now, I don't think he's going to update his website more than a couple of years. And then he will look for a solution. He must look for a solution. He might be working on a solution that I just don't know. But definitely, could be an excellent solution for him, meaning if he adopt our solution, it's all the best university in America will use it. That's not a trivial exercise. Then you don't have to talk anymore. That's the right approach. You got it? Anyway,
Yeah.
we should break here. Please go over it. I don't know if you'll be ready by tomorrow. Read, I will send you the link to the video. Go over it again, okay? Again and again and again. Go over the video. Look it up. You have the code. I think the code is already online. You can download, update your computer. Look at the code. Don't touch it, okay? And if you touch, do Control Z and put it back. Otherwise, you will have a hard time next time to update your code, okay? So, but do go over it and don't give up. This is hard stuff, and you're more than welcome, okay? So we will talk. I want to ask you a big favor. Be on the watch. I'm changing the topic. I want you to be involved in the Karuma stuff, okay? Be on the watch with George. Because many times I don't blame him. He probably cannot really have his telephone all the time on the data, and then he will be bankrupt. I don't know how much it costs in Uganda. In Israel, it's free, yeah, and there it's probably very expensive. But I will really appreciate if I contact you to reach him. I will appreciate if you respond. It's very important. We have to handle it very quickly. And, you know, it's something dragging for the last 10 years. There's a lot of money involved. And that's really the place that Academy City is supposed to be at the end of the day. 10 years from now, I would love to see a big building over there. That's why I'm spending a lot of time on that as well. So
Okay.
thank you guys and good luck.
All right.
Have a good one.